Imagine the scene. You come home after an exhaustive day, with your nerves on your skin, dreaming only with a hot shower and a moment of peace. But as he crossed the door, he realizes that something is very wrong. This was exactly the nightmare Marina faced that Friday that should have been relief. The sweet and breaded aroma of an unknown perfume invaded his nostrils, something too sweaty, with a vanilla touch that would never be part of his choices. At the kitchen counter, a cup of tea in half and biscuits scattered on a platter. Strange, after all, her husband, Dimitri, never arrived before 7, and the clock barely scored 6. With a knot in her throat, she called for him, but the only answer was a muffled murmur from the room. As he approached, what he found was breathtaking. In the middle of the room, as if he was the latter's owner, was Svetlana Igorevna, his mother-in-law, arranging blouses over the bed with the greatest naturalness in the world. 2 huge branches took up the space beside the wide-open wardrobe, while their own clothes lay huddled on the floor, as if they were no longer value. "Finally the bride has arrived," exclaimed the mother-in-law, with a smile that looked more like a provocation. "I was already installing me here, honey. Also accommodate yourself." Marina felt the floor shake under her feet. What exactly was it happening? When opening the other door of the closet, he came across the Svetlana dresses, the same ones she wore in Sunday lunches, occupying each hanger, every shelf. His belongings, reduced to an insignificant pile in the corner. "Where are my things?" he asked, his voice embargoed. "Oh, don't worry, sweetie," the mother-in-law answered, with a discharge gesture. "They are there, well arranged. We'll have to share the space, after all, we're a family, don't we? To divide." That woman had moved without warning, as if the house were hers. And the worst, Dimitri knew everything. 3 years of marriage, 3 years building that home with sweat and dreams, the decoration chosen to finger, the discussions about the color of the walls, the plans to turn the room into a nursery. And now, without consultation, without respect, his mother-in-law simply settled, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. "Is Dimitri aware of that?" he asked, still hopeful that he was a misunderstanding. "Of course," he laughed. Svetlana, adjusting her hair in the mirror. "We talked last week. He was so happy. Mom, of course you can come to live with us. Marina will love the idea. Didn't you tell you? Maybe I wanted to surprise you." Surprise. That was the word. A surprise that hurt like a stab. Marina squeezed her fists until her nails stuck in the palm of her hand. How could Dimitri make such a decision without even consulting her? With a trembling voice, she apologized and left, dialing her husband's number. He answered in the third touch, the tense voice. "Hi, love, have you arrived?" "I arrived," he said, containing the fury. "And guess who I found here? Your mother, with her bags in our room." Silence. Then an embarrassed cough. "I was going to tell you. I just didn't know how." "What do you mean, Dimitri?" he exploded, lowering his voice so that the mother-in-law would not hear. "How do you tell your wife that your mother will live with us forever? Without asking me? Without warning me? She's going through a difficult time, Marina. The neighbors are noisy, her pressure rises. The doctor said she needs tranquility. And did you think the solution was to throw it in my throat like a consummate fact?" She almost shouted. "She already rented her apartment, Dimitri. I've brought all things. My clothes are on the floor, and she wants to occupy the room we planned for our children. I was going to talk to you tonight." To talk? Mocked. When she already had the toothbrush in our bathroom? The outcome was an ultimatum, or he solved that situation, or she would leave. Dimitri looked at her incredulous, as if he did not understand the severity of what he had done. "You can't be serious. Go away because of my mother?" "No, Dimitri," he said, bitterly. "I won't live under the same roof as a woman who treats me as a temporary guest, who has already taken over my space and has always seen me as an obstacle in your relationship with you." That was not just about an invasive mother-in-law. It was about respect. About choices. About a marriage that, until that moment, she believed to be built in partnership. But now, for the first time, Marina wondered, does he really see her like an equal? Bondiosa? Marina couldn't stand it and let out a bitter laugh. "Kind." The The woman who criticizes every plate she prepares, who implies every opportunity that I am a mediocre wife, who relives her ex-girlfriend's stories as if they were trophies and, of course, who never loses her chance to remember that I haven't given her a grandson to show up as proof of my accomplished duty. Dimitri looked at her with an expression between confusion and guilt. Marie, Mom just wants to take care of us. She has no bad intentions. Don't you have bad intentions? Marina crossed her arms, the sharp tone like a blade. For I do not intend to find out what these good intentions will be when she is living with us. You have until tomorrow. Or your mother goes back to her apartment, or I get my things and go to my parents' house. It did not wait. He entered the apartment and found Svetlana Igorevna already dominating the kitchen, reorganizing the refrigerator with a theatrical sigh with each bad guard product. Demochka, did you come back? Exclaimed, radiant to see him. I'm preparing your favorite borщ, dear Marina, don't worry. I take care of the food. I know how you get tired at work. Marina passed her in silence, closing the bedroom door with a dry crack. He heard their murmurs in the kitchen, but he didn't bother to hear. Instead, he opened his suitcase and began to keep his things, the same that the mother-in-law had kindly stacked on the floor, as if they had no place there. The night was a nightmare of tense silence. Dimitri tried to talk to her several times, but Marina responded with cold monosyllables. Svetlana Igorevna, feeling hostility in the air, withdrew early on her room, not first to announce, in a melodramatic tone, that young people needed privacy. As if it were a favor. The next morning Marina woke up before the usual. Dimitri still slept. He dressed in silence and went to the kitchen where, to his surprise, he found his mother-in-law, preparing the breakfast. Good morning, daughter-in-law dear. He greeted, with a sweetness that sounded false to the less attentive ears. I did blinis for Demochka. He loves since childhood, you know. With honey, as I always did. Marina wasted no time with rodeos. We didn't discuss your change, Svetlana Igorevna. It was a unilateral decision of Dimitri. The mother-in-law frozen, the wooden spoon hanging over the frying pan. Then, slowly, he turned to face her. What do you mean? Dimitri said you had already talked about it. No, he didn't say. Marina advanced a steady step. And I do not agree that you live here. Svetlana Igorevna's face has become. The mask of kindness collapsed, revealing a cold look. Listen well, girl, the voice was now a whip. I am Dimitri's mother. I created him, I educated, I gave everything he has. If he thinks I should live here, then that's what will happen. This is our house, Marina countered, serene, but uncompromising. We both paid the mortgage. We both made the decisions. And I didn't authorize your change. Ah, so that's it. The skillet beat the stove with a metallic crash. You are afraid. Fear that I see what kind of wife you are really. Fear that Dimitri realizes that you don't know how to take care of him as a woman should. Ria. Marina felt her anger boil, but forced herself to stay calm. It's not about that, Svetlana Igorevna. It is respect. Of decisions that make themselves together. Not imposing. Respect. The mother-in-law snorted, sarcastic. And respect for your husband's mother? For the woman who gave everything to her son? I have health problems, I need care. And you, Svetlana? Dimitri's voice cut the air from the door. He arrives. Both turned around. He was supported by the stop, his face a mask of determination that Marina rarely saw, especially when it came to her mother. Son, I was just explaining to your wife like things, Mom. Dimitri entered the kitchen and positioned himself next to Marina. Marina is right. I should have discussed this with her. It was my mistake not to do that. Svetlana Igorevna stared at him as if he had just betrayed her with a stab. What are you saying? You asked me to move yourself. He said she would be happy. I said we would think about it. That we would talk. Dimitri's voice did not train. But you already rented the apartment the next day and came with your bags ready, because you know that I always early in your whims. Because I thought you cared about your mother. The voice of the mother-in-law broke, the tears appearing as weapons. Instead, you leave this This woman, Dmitri interrupted firmly, is my wife. And our marriage is based on mutual respect. I made a mistake by not consulting it, and now I'm correcting this mistake. Marina looked at him, surprised. In 3 years of marriage, he has never seen him so resolute, so free, before his mother. But, Dmitri, I already gave up on the apartment. Svetlana Igorevna raised the hysterical tone. Where do I go? To the street. Don't be dramatic. He approached and put his hands on her shoulders. You rented yesterday, right? The contract can be cancelled. I help with that. As for noisy neighbors, we find another solution. We move to a quieter neighborhood, we install sound insulation. Whatever it takes. No, Dmitri. She tried to simulate a fainting, but her son held her. My decision is final. Marina and I are not ready for it. And I ask you to respect. The mother-in-law's eyes burned with fury, but she recomposed herself fast, the victim mask returning to the place. Understood, he spit, cold. Now I know who really rules in this family. Don't worry, son. I already understood everything. Today I get my things today and leave. He took the apron with a theatrical gesture and left, knocking on the door tightly. They were alone. For a long time, only the sound of the refrigerator separated them. Then Marina approached and hugged Dmitri, softly. Thank you. I know how hard it was for you. He squeezed her against him, his voice hoarse. I'm sorry for not talking to you before. She knows how to press me, you know that. But you are right. Decisions like this are ours. The rest of the day was a staging. Svetlana Igorevna packed her bags with theatrical size, dropping objects unintentionally to draw attention. Dmitri helped by listening to the laments about ungrateful children and abandoned old age. Marina kept distance, refusing to feed the circus. At night, a taxi was waiting at the door. Dmitri carried his bags and accompanied his mother to the car. Tomorrow I go there to help cancel the contract, he promised, hugging her. No need, she said, dry. I can alone. I don't want to get you out of your precious wife. Mom, don't do that. He sighed. You know I love you. If I loved me, I wouldn't throw me out like an old rag, she fired, sitting on the back seat. But everything is fine. I already understood my place. Goodbye, son. The taxi left. Dmitri stood on the sidewalk, looking at the car disappearing, as if it carried with it the last fragments of an illusion. When he returned, he found Marina reorganizing the room, returning each object to her place. She left? He asked, without turning around. He was. He sat on the edge of sea. Loves, exhausted. I think she was really hurt. She'll understand. Marina sat next to her. Maybe not now. But go. The following weeks were a test. Svetlana Igorevna ignored her son's calls. When he appeared, he would wait for him outside. Dmitri suffered, but Marina supported him, reminding him that these were the same tactics as usual, only now, for the first time, he had said no. Until, one night, as they had dinner, the intercom played. The door opened. In the stop, Svetlana Igorevna, visibly slaughtered, the red eyes of crying. Mom. Dmitri was surprised. What happened? Can I come in? She asked softly, her voice shaking. I need to talk to you. With both. He let her pass, exchanging a look of caution with Marina. They sat in the kitchen, where Marina, in silence, put a cup of steaming tea before her mother-in-law. Svetlana Igorevna hesitated, looking for the words. I came to apologize to them. Dmitri and Marina looked at each other, unbelievers. I was wrong, she continued, fixing the bottom of her cup as if her guilt was written. I shouldn't have acted like this. My friend Elena Stepanovna. Do you remember her, Dima? He told me I was selfish. And she's right. Marina contained the astonishment. It was the first time, in years of coexistence, that he heard from his mother-in-law such a sincere mea culpa. It's just. I feel so alone, confessed Svetlana Igorevna, and in her voice, for the first time, Marina recognized a genuine vulnerability. It's been 5 years since your father has gone, and I haven't learned to live without him yet. When those noisy neighbors appeared, I thought it was a sign. It was time to move close to you. Mom, I understand, Dimitri replied, covering her hand with her. But we needed to talk about it, do not impose as a consummate fact. I know, she admitted with a fragile smile. I've always been like this. Mandona. Your father lived by saying, SSSO, you're a regiment colonel, not wife. For the first time, Marina saw in her mother-in-law not the ruthless woman who controlled everything around her, but a scared widow, still entangled in the shadow of a loss that had left her to drift. Svetlana Igorevna, Marina risked, breaking the silence. We love to receive her here. Always. But living together. It's complicated. Each family has its rhythms, its rules. The mother-in-law nodded, her fingers playing with the spoon. I understand. Really. It's just sometimes I'm afraid of losing you, Dima. That you get away from me. And then I try to hold you like giving. Mom, I don't go anywhere, he held her face between hands. You will always be a fundamental part of my life. But Marina is my wife, my family. Our relationship cannot be built on my marriage. Svetlana Igorevna's eyes filled with tears again. I'll try to remember that. For the first time that night, she looked straight at Marina. Forgive me, Devushka. I was unfair to you all these years. I was jealous of you. I didn't want to admit that my son had grown, that he had his own life. Marina felt her own eyes burning. I understand, he whispered. And I never wanted to get him out of you. I just wanted us to respect each other's limits. That night marked a turn. Svetlana Igorevna stayed for dinner, and for the first time in years, they talked without ulterior motives, without manipulations, without the veiled tension that had always separated them. They spoke simply as people united by the love of the same man, and now for the desire to rebuild what had been broken. In the following months, Dimitri helped his mother solve the problem with the noisy neighbors. Together they called the building administrator, and the offenders were fined. Marina, in turn, suggested that Svetlana Igorevna tried yoga classes for the elderly. Not only did her health improve, but to everyone's surprise, she made new friends. 3 years later, Marina watched from the living room door while her mother-in-law was playing with Sofia, her 1-year-old daughter, on the carpet. Svetlana Igorevna laughed, showing her granddaughter the colorful toys, while the girl laughed, hitting her hands in the air. Who would say, Dimitri murmured, embracing Marina from behind, that impasse with the change we would come out with it. She smiled, watching the mother-in-law fondly adjust the mainher in Sofia's foot. Sometimes it takes a good crisis to make everything fit, he philosophized. Now, your mother comes to visit us once a week, stay with Sofia when we need it, and come back happy to her apartment. Everyone wins, he agreed, kissing her temple. Svetlana Igorevna, realizing them, waved. Look, our Sofia has learned to beat palms, proudly announced. The girl, as if she understood the importance of the moment, repeated the gesture, applauding with her plump hands. Marina sat on the carpet next to them. What a smart, our Sofia, he praised, kissing his daughter's head. And how lucky she has to have such a special grandmother. Svetlana Igorevna's eyes shone, not tears this time, but gratitude. You know, she said, alternating the look between her son and her daughter-in-law, I was thinking how good it was good that you kicked me like that. Otherwise, we would still be at war instead of here, together. Dimitri laughed. It was not expulsion, mother. It was a help. For all of us. Sofia, not understanding the words, but feeling the joy in the air, clapped her hands again, as if she applauded the truth that none of them needed to tell aloud, that it was worth every conflict, every tear, every border respected to get there united, not by obligation, but by choice.